Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
Hey, this is Tyler Jones, and you're listening to the Element Podcast. Well, what's happening, all my woods people? I am currently sitting here in a chair, and it's not pink, in Sulphur Springs, Texas. And I'm alone today, physically, but on the phone, everybody's favorite co-host, KC Smith. What's happening, dude?
Oh, just driving home from a hunt, wishing my chair was pink.
Yeah, I know it, dude. So currently, you're living in a different area these days, so you can't just like chill here for a while and make it home quickly. You got a pretty good haul.
Oh yes, I do. It is. There was good things and bad things about mine and my wife's move, and this is one of the bad ones that we are far away. But one day when you get moved, we'll be back close again.
Yeah, I know, dude. Be closer, and I mean, maybe you'll move back closer to where I move.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
These are young times, exciting times in our lives. Let me tell you,
they sure are, man. I mean, just being Christmas is exciting enough.
Oh, I know it. There's just the Christmas spirit is in the air.
Yeah. So right now you're hunting, or you were hunting. So you're on your way back.
Yeah.
What's the report, dude?
Well, there's deer in the woods, Tyler.
Hell, not many sometimes.
No, I mean, depends on how broad the woods is. You know, if the woods means all woods, then yes, there's a lot of deer out there.
Being that it's evening, maybe all the deer are in the fields. So they may not. I think
that's what happened.
They may not be in the woods, you know?
Yeah. Well, so where I went is a place I've talked about before. You know, you and I haven't been over to this spot yet this year. But today I kind of didn't know I was going to be off work, and kind of randomly, the guy I was working for actually kind of had a health issue today, but he's fine. But I called him. He was like, hey, we better not go out there today. It's like, oh, yeah, probably not. So anyways, I had like one of those just bonus sporadic hunts that you just aren't planned for and you don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, it's 75 degrees, but I have time to hunt. We only have 3 weeks left of the season. I need to hunt. So I decided to load everything up and go do a hanging hunt solo at the place where I used to hunt, and go check all that out and go on the big long walk with 60 pounds of junk. And it was quite the adventure, I'll tell you that much.
Well, first of all, I think it's hilarious that there was so many people complaining in like early November that it was like 60 degrees in their territory.
Oh my gosh. I know, man.
Dude, it has been smoking hot up here. It's basically Christmas, and we're getting mid 70 degree temps, you know, like, and you know, I mean, I know it's Texas, but our deer still don't like to move when they've got their winter coat on and it's 75 degrees, you know?
Oh, exactly. They're still going to wait till late or even dark to move.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you back in November, like during rut days for us, you know, like say November 15th, I would have like given someone a $20 bill per hunt to tell me that it was going to be less than 60 degrees that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure we were hunting like some 80-degree days down here.
Oh, dude, it was pretty brutal for a while there.
Yeah.
Which I guess it still is. We haven't had much cold weather this year overall, and I feel like that's been kind of a tough thing for us. I got a lot of thoughts going through my head, but I mean, I guess. Finish out what you were trying to say there. I didn't mean to cut you off. I know you're kind of finishing your hunt up there, but
it's all right. Those anecdotes are nice. Well, so I mapped it out, and from the entry point I was going to use, it was going to be like 2.5 miles back to this spot. So I was mentally prepared for this, And then I put on my stand and my sticks and load up my backpack, and then I'm no longer mentally prepared because it's super heavy.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I did it anyways. And take out, leave the vehicle, go walking down this like pretty easy walking trail. And I'm like making an Instagram post because like I'm Mr. Social Media.
Uh-huh.
And lo and behold, I make it like 200 yards down the road and realize I don't have a bow.
Oh my gosh.
So you can tell where my focus was at this moment.
Yeah.
And
you're going to hang and hunt.
That's right.
You weren't going to hang and kill.
That's right, man. I was gonna just go lay down some hardcore B-roll on some stuff, which I did. I got a good clip of the squirrel. Let me tell you.
Dadgummit, dude.
Anyways, I had to turn around and go get my bow. And on that 200-yard walk back, I like refocused myself, and I like got in the straight up. Have you seen like the movie Predator when Arnold Schwarzenegger like puts the mud on his face at the end, like he changes, like he's like, I'm gonna be the Predator, like dude, that's what I did.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm sorry to anybody that I know, dude. I mean, you're not a movie guy these days, and I'm not either, and I wasn't back in the day either. So I just never have been a movie guy, and I'm sorry. Like pretty much any movie reference, if it isn't Sandlot, like I probably haven't seen it.
Anyways, make the start out on my long trek, and I'm headed back, and I'm seeing decent deer sign, and then there's no human like fresh sign because that rain happened a couple days ago, and there's no human tracks. So I'm like, oh, this is good. There's deer tracks here and there and everywhere. Well, it's not like great deer habitat there, and it's not like where I wanted to be. It's pretty close to the entrance, so I just keep on pushing back, and I get back to this spot that you and I had scouted in the past, and it looks pretty good, man. There's like deer hair on the fence, and I am looking around, liking it. Well, I see a set of sticks in a tree, like climbing sticks. I'm like, dadgummit. And it's those cheap old Walmart ones that you leave in the tree or whatever. And this guy, like, he was like, double stacked them. I think there's like 6 of them. So he was like up there, like 35 feet or something like that. I know he go way up there, but
must be watching us.
There. I guess he's like sort of hanging hunting because he is hanging his stand every time he goes in. He just leaves the sticks.
Right. So is he legal?
I don't know.
I don't either.
What really defines stand on public land is a good question. You have to be standing in it for it to be a stand? Can I sit in it?
I suppose that would be the thing. So maybe I can leave my stand up all year if I'm not standing in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Anyways, I push on, and I kind of have a destination in mind, which I talked to you about this earlier. Like I knew that I was going to walk past some good stuff and go to this destination and see what it looked like, and then turn around if need be, if I didn't like it. Mm-hmm. And I'm pushing on to this destination, and I start seeing more and more human sign instead of less and less. I'm like probably 1.75 miles back in there, and there literally is enough shiny things, like those little thumbtack things, on the trees to get you more lost than help you. Like they're everywhere, and I don't understand like that and flagging tape. Like this dude, whoever's back there hunting, and I couldn't tell how fresh it was. It might have been like from earlier in the year or last year or something. I don't know, but he had a flagging party back there.
It has no GPS, man. He's scared of getting lost.
Man, that's how you like. I don't know. I don't want to say anything mean about anyone, but it might be a person older than us who's back there doing that.
Yeah,
it's
definitely
just,
could.
You know,
Yep.
guys that I feel like our age, and y'all let me know if I'm wrong, but I feel like how many people use their cell phone? That's actually what I want to know. Y'all get on the Facebook page or whatever and tell us. Some people use your phone for navigation, or if you go old school. But anyways, I'm using my phone. So I'm navigating back and I start seeing all this human sign. And then I finally get to like the area of my destination, not the specific tree I'd picked out, but the area. And it's really hoggy. I mean, there's hog sign everywhere and big hog tracks too. I'm like, is that a calf? And no, it's a hog. And I didn't really hear any hogs back there, but you can just tell when things are, there's hog hair all over the fence. It's muddy. And
you smell them.
Yeah, you can smell them, and it just wasn't great. So I pushed on through and went to the tree that I was thinking about hanging in. And first off, the tree wasn't near as straight as what I thought it was, because I could remember seeing it. So it wasn't a great tree to hang in. And so I'm looking around. I go up and down this little area, trying to find a tree, and I didn't have a good feeling about any of it. And I was like, you know what? I passed some stuff earlier that I knew looked pretty good, and I know deer use. And I hadn't even seen really sign that deer were using this area too much. I mean, there's some tracks, but not convincing. So even though in the past, that place was just awesome, man. I mean, it was so good. But I think that since then, there's been a lot more human pressure back then. Like when I was hunting in 2013, it was money, but I don't know. Anyways, I decided to walk about a mile back the other direction and ended up hanging and hunting in a pretty good spot. I mean, it was like a funnel to a food source, and there should have been two drainages kind of coming together right there, and deer should have been coming right there underneath me. And so behind me was private, a ways off, and I could see out kind of in the open fields over there. And I saw some deer that had come out pretty early for how warm it was. They came out probably 5 o'clock or so. And, they were 800 yards away or something like that, way off. And never had anything come out underneath me, man. Saw a lot of squirrels. I think that this spring we're going to have to do some squirrel hunting, because everywhere we go, there are squirrels going berserk.
I've been thinking about it a lot, man. And I've got this book, cookbook that has a 3-meat stew recipe called Kentucky Burgoo or something like that.
Ooh.
And it looked like, I mean, I hadn't looked into the recipe much, but I know it's got they usually do 3+ meats in it. And I was thinking whitetail, wild hog, and squirrel, and those are 3 things we can make happen out there. The whitetail
Texas
would be the hardest thing for sure, though.
Yeah, you got to kill a whitetail to have some whitetail meat, and I've yet to do that.
Yeah, well, you've been doing a good job laying down some quality film, so that's good.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have all kinds of B-roll shots.
Yeah. Well, we have a hard drive full of B-roll, man. I think we actually should just probably write B-roll on it,
Yeah, that's true.
And then maybe we can have an A-roll thumb drive that's a 2 gig.
There you go. Now we're talking. So that's the end of my story. And then tonight was just a long walk back in the dark.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why, okay, if it had been good over there where I had originally planned, I'd have stayed. But I was looking at it and was like, I'm not convinced. And you know what? I can knock about 15 or 20 minutes out of my walk tonight if I go ahead and walk that back right now, in the daylight. And that's what I did, because I would not, it's just not fun to walk out that far in the dark, especially through stuff that you're not that familiar with.
Yeah.
Back when I was doing those all day sits back there all the time, it was, I could do it without a flashlight almost.
Yeah.
But it's not that way now.
Yeah. You took us through there pretty fast one time, I remember. And I was like, how does he's like, yeah, I've seen this tree 400 times, and the tree looks just like the other 1,600 that are in here. But I remember, a couple weeks ago on that last front that came through, we were in we actually took a pretty good road trip to a spot, and we were way back, and I remember how long it took us to get back to the truck, just simply because so many greenbrier and just stuff like that. And then the dark, it's just it's difficult to navigate, man. You know?
Oh yeah, the darkness, even with a good headlamp, I mean, it adds double to your time almost. It seems like, because like on the way in, it was a pretty easy walk, you know. But you just know, hey, there's a greenbrier thicket, you know, 10 yards in front of me. I need to veer left, and in the dark, you can't do that.
Right. And then, you know, you don't know how far to veer left, so you go too far out of the way, and then you get off track and you look at your map and you're like, dadgummit, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely more difficult to do. And see, because the reason I didn't get to go with you today was because I was in Dallas with, meeting up with the Jones side of the family and having a Christmas. And, we always, I guess, kind of meet there and do something, an afternoon and eat lunch and everything, a nice lunch. And it's just that time of year where I've got like 14 different facets of family that want to all, have their own different Christmas party. And it seems like we got something every day. And you and I have been actually hunted about as much in the last couple of days separate from each other as we have the whole year nearly, it seems like.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
I mean, early season that we were splitting up some, but that was we almost were hunting just to be hunting in the early season,
dude,
to tell you the truth.
Looking back at
how
it,
hot
we're
it was.
idiots.
Oh, yeah. Like, we should have, sat around, or not sat around, but, worked more and just waited on the good weather, And we've talked about this next year. And don't get me wrong, people kill giant deer here in the early season. But we didn't have any deer pinpointed as well as we thought we did, at least.
Yeah, we didn't have the right game plan.
No.
We thought we did.
Just next year. Yeah, for
we
sure.
Thought we did because we had a buck. We had Scar in early August. We knew where he was bedding, pretty much habitually, day in and day out, just about. Yeah. And honestly, we I guess we didn't put enough heavy weight on a heavy acorn crop that we got, and we decided to hunt the bedding, whereas we probably should have been hunting the nearest patch of oaks.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what we should have done for sure. We missed out on some stuff, but you live and learn, man. You know, it's just the way it goes. Who would have predicted? I mean, from what I understand, across the nation, this year's been one of the best acorn crops, or acorn, depending on who you are. Probably in the last 15 years. I mean, I can't really remember one that's been this good in a long time.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, there's a lot of them still on the ground. The like willow oaks and stuff are still got some stuff underneath, and I guess with this rain, it might finally chill it out, and you might get some deer on different food sources now, and hopefully moving more during the day, trying to find these food sources as those acorns have started to rot and such. But yeah, we've hunted a lot separately in the last couple of days, just for the holidays and everything that's going on right now. And I hunted last night, and it was same conditions pretty much. It may have been a touch cooler. I think it was probably about 70. Anyway, I took I think it's about two-thirds of a mile into this little spot, and we have a buck that's showing up there regular in the daytime. Well, I say regular. We've had two trail camera card pulls in the last I don't know, over the last 2+ weeks that have both failed. One was a corrupt 16 gigabyte card full of files that wouldn't show. So that was fun. And then moved the camera to try to pattern the deer a little bit more accurately and maybe, find something else new out, and ended up putting it way up in a tree because I'm scared people are going to steal it. And it was just windy a couple of days and set off a bunch of times in the middle of the day. So that wasn't cool, but I hunted there and I felt really good about it. I got in pretty quiet for how quiet it was. I mean, we were forecasted to have a 4 to 5 mile an hour wind out of the southwest, which was setting up really good for this stand. And it ended up being good, but there was no wind when I went in. It was hot. I had a t-shirt on, and I still sweated going in, and took it slow and everything. But anyway, got in there, set up, wasn't super high because I didn't want to get skylined, and I also for shooting lanes and stuff like that. And felt great about it. I got in there, got quiet set up, and I was real still for a long time, just moving my head just a little at a time, real slow, and looking around, and had a lot of vision, and ended up seeing a deer a couple hundred yards off on private, but didn't see. I mean, I barely could even see him. It was a little bitty buck I could barely see, and didn't see anything else the rest of the night except for armadillo. So I was a little bit frustrated with that, and I don't know. You're a real positive dude, and I tend to get down about things a little bit more sometimes, and I've struggled lately because we have spent a lot of time out on public lands this year hunting deer here in Texas, and well, I mean in other states as well, but in Texas especially, we spent a ton of time here, and there's a lot of things that are frustrating me lately. One is that I'm sitting there yesterday going, I am supposed to have the right wind, but I just felt a northwest hit me in the back of the neck at like 5 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. And like how many light variable winds can you possibly get during the season? Like we have sat so many light and variable winds this year.
I know it, man.
And that has been tough, man. We haven't had any good cold fronts to blow, 15, 25 miles an hour, which, it stinks to sit there, but you also tend to see more action and know that, like, I'm set up right, and so the deer coming through here, are going to come through here, and I'm going to see them. Whereas on a light and variable wind, especially in the thick stuff we hunt, you could be set up correctly and getting the wind that you need the majority of the afternoon, and then all of a sudden the wind switches as a deer's coming in. He's 125 yards from you. He smells you, and you never see that deer. You never knew that you missed that chance.
Yeah.
That's been frustrating.
You and I have been talking about this. It's kind of like I never really realized how thick the stuff is that we hunt until I start looking at like our footage compared to, other people's footage around the nation.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like one's better than the other or ours is tougher than theirs is. I'd love to be able to see better. But like you start like trying to get some footage of some bucks or something like that in East Texas, man, if they're not at 20 yards, you're not going to get good footage. It's kind of crazy.
We have, think
about how many places we sit that you can actually see 100 yards.
Oh yeah. And there's not many. And if there is one that we sit that's that way, it's like one direction, and then there's a 340 degrees around you that you can't see more than 40 or 50.
Yes.
I mean, and I don't know, it is a tough thing to not be able to see very far, and I don't know, like you said, I don't know if it's better or worse or anything like that, but you definitely we've had several opportunities where we've had like decent bucks come through. And like either we've had to like tell the camera, hey, we just saw a really good buck. I hope you believe us, or something. But like we just haven't been able to get footage of a lot of the big bucks or decent bucks that have come through, So that's been tough. Another thing, this is one thing I was thinking. This is kind of a little bit off subject, but another thing that I feel like we've noticed as being tough is the pigs have been like heavy players in like our success in seeing deer. It seems like the other night we were sitting in one of our favorite stands, and we had like these, I don't know how many pigs, but there was like a line of them cutting north and south, and we were planning on these deer coming from the west, and they just stayed there all afternoon. You could hear them screaming and hollering at each other and barking and stuff. And you're like, this deer, any deer coming from that direction is not going to come past those pigs.
Hold on just a second. You just used like 3 different verbs that people normally don't associate with hogs: screaming, hollering, and barking.
Dude, I mean, I don't know what else you call it, but they are making some serious noise.
And I feel like that situation, maybe not as extreme as what that night was, but that similar situations have played themselves out to where, okay, that afternoon, that was the same day that we saw the shooter and then the two little guys that went to our, like at the base of our tree, right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as those pigs moved in, we never saw nor heard another deer.
Yeah, it got later. It was supposed to get better. You're supposed to see more deer towards dark, and nothing. And then I was thinking about this earlier when you were talking about where you were at tonight. It's good habitat. And what happens when the habitat starts growing in and getting good like it needs to be? The hogs overtake it. And now, a few years ago there were deer in there, and now the hogs have just taken over because, it's way back in there. There's not a whole lot. I mean, you said there was some pressure there, but there's not a whole lot of people like going in there after the season hunting hogs, and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just too far to walk for hogs for a lot of people. And so, they're just taking over back there,
Yeah. That's right, man. And I mean, even earlier in the season, we were having the same issue, and we went, on that pretty long trip for that Texas public land here a while back and had the same problem. If you remember, like that doe and button that came in, they were running from hogs.
Yeah.
Whenever they came in to the base of our tree, we heard the hogs were like at 80 yards and all this running starts happening, and here comes these deer.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's apparent that the hogs are a clear issue.
Yes.
It is a problem, and I don't know how we combat that, man, because I mean, population control on hogs doesn't work. I mean, it can, but it has to be intensive management, and we can't do that from the stand.
Mm-hmm.
So and there's not really a good way to like hunt a non-hog area. Like, what does that look like
right
here? You know what I mean?
Man.
Oh, I'm going to go up on the hills, out of the bottoms because that hogs don't go up there. No, they're up there eating acorns.
Yeah.
I'm going to go down to the bottom, get away from hogs. No, they're down there eating mud. They just they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a crapshoot.
Yeah.
To if you're gonna have a good evening, a good hunt, or if you're gonna get hogged out.
Yeah. And that's been frustrating this year, and like I was saying earlier, we've set so many times, like, I don't know. There's a lot of things that go through my mind, but I look at it like this. Your normal guy is not hunting nearly as many times as we are. And I'm not saying we're not normal guys. I'm just saying that we have decided to not make money this fall and try to crack down and see if we can figure some things out, and hunt a lot. And I mean, that's a lifestyle choice that we make. And frankly, I'm barely affording to get through Christmas because of it. And I'm sure a lot of these other guys out there have plenty of things that they like and want and that they are able to get around their house and that's just a lifestyle choice. Nothing wrong with it either way, I don't think. But I'm just saying we have hunted a lot more than anybody else I know in my hunting circles have hunted this year as far as days go or sits in the stand. And currently, we have shot one buck on public land, and it was in a Midwestern state where deer tend to be a little easier to kill overall. I think the community would probably agree with me there.
Well, let's rephrase that a little bit. There probably is a higher population, and they're more patternable.
Right. Yes. So yes. So more bed to feed pattern consistency and higher population per acre, and also
they're still smart.
Right, and then also the ability to see them from distance helps you to adjust your stand the next day or whatever.
Where we were sitting there, earlier we were talking about we couldn't see 100 yards hardly anywhere, and in the Midwest you could see a mile in all directions.
Sometimes, yes. So, that's but I mean, looking at it, I'm just like, there are guys that kill deer out here, in some of these places that are pretty consistent.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not saying they do it every year, and I'm not saying they may shoot a 2-year-old that is, 13 inches wide and kind of a junky, genetic deer and nothing, too
Makes
crazy.
You happy, do it.
But that's fine. It's not necessarily what we're after. And you passed a heck of a deer this year. So
and that's kind of part of it. Like last year I could have shot Pretty Boy.
Right.
And this year I could have shot that deer, and I could have, and now, like this year, like that would be what a lot of people would call a chip shot on that buck, that 3-year-old. Now, Pretty Boy, that would have been a poke. That was like 42 yards.
Yeah.
You know, I may not have pulled it off, but either way, like I could have punched tags both years, but I consciously made a decision not to. And that might be foolish on my part, but I enjoy hunting.
Right.
And I heard, I think Brian Call said this the other day on the Green Bowman podcast. Like he was like, you know, I'm reluctant to shoot sometimes because I enjoy hunting.
Right.
I enjoy being out there. And when I feel a tag, I don't get to hunt anymore. And I feel it the same exact way. And, you know, I realize if I shoot something, then you're still hunting, but like, it's still fun for, I don't know. I like to film and I also like to hunt.
Yeah.
You know, I like to do both things.
Oh,
and
me too.
When you have the feeling that, okay, I'm going to film this morning and then we're going to go to my stand this afternoon and I'm going to hunt. Like that's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that dynamic. And when I shoot something, I don't get to hunt anymore.
Right.
You know, it's just plain and simple.
Yeah. I mean, and that's definitely, that's a big upside to it for sure. You know, it's just, I mean, you know, we talked about it earlier this week in a different matter, but you know, we're both struggling financially right now, because we haven't worked very much because we've been hunting so much. And so there, you know, that's just one thing that starts to weigh on you when you do, you know, you've been out hunting and then, you know, well, let me justify this to my wife. Like, yeah, we're just sitting in the woods for like 42 days a year, you know, like, not really seeing much, you know, and that's kind of one thing, I guess that is another, you know, it's like the bigger concept that's kind of a drag. Sometimes is like you go out there, you work your tail off, you do everything right. You play the wind correctly. You've got a perfect wind in your mind. It's going back over a creek, you know, and we just don't have the deer numbers, probably because of the hogs taking up so much good habitat. We just don't have the deer numbers here to really like see deer every time we go out. I mean, we're going out on like pretty decent days, like cool days, and sometimes not seeing deer.
Sure.
I mean, in places that like we've had cameras up, we've seen good deer, we've seen several deer. And so, you know, that starts to kind of weigh on you. And you know, I'm sitting there in the stand yesterday, and I'm like, well, it's getting late, and I hadn't seen a deer other than the one way off on private, you know. And you know, I'm hunting these deer like I think I should hunt them, but like, am I just not? Am I a good hunter even? Like, I don't even know at this point. I mean, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, like I'm sitting here going, like, is it pompous of me or cocky of me to think that I'm a pretty good hunter because I killed a deer, you know, on a bed to feed pattern in Midwest, but I can't, like, I personally have not been close enough to a shooter to shoot it this year when I had a bow in my hand. And other than that, we've had one shooter, that, I mean, essentially has been passed. I guess we had another deer pretty close to us that we couldn't get a shot at. But, you know, like, it's been
two, really. There's the two other deer that we couldn't get shots at. Had one, well, leader was within range. We couldn't get a shot. The other buck was, you know, I guess 60 yards was the closest he ever got. But,
right.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, I'm just saying, you know, like we've hunted a lot of hunts.
Yeah.
I mean, we've nearly documented all of them. I mean, we've got video footage, but I don't know that we kept footage from every hunt because, I mean, I'm not going to make a PLC out of a hunt where we sit there and explain why we're doing this and that, and then we don't see anything, you know?
I know.
I mean,
thanks for the explanation, guys. The next time I want to go sit in a tree and not see anything, I'll do that.
It's the truth, you know? We're giving it a lot right now, you know? I just want to be honest with everybody as we always try to be. And you know, I started literally, I have questioned, like, you know, maybe I know I have a lot to learn, but maybe I have more than I think to learn. Maybe, you know, do I really know this stuff? And, you know, hopefully in the next week or so, like we both lay some tags down and I go, you know, I feel good about my, you know, confidence, but like, you know, it was waning a little bit this summer. And then we found that corner spot that we talked about, you know, with the bucks on it after I made an assumption or a hypothesis about where, that would be a place deer were at. And then, you know, I felt pretty good. I was like, maybe I do. I'm starting to learn my stuff out here, you know. And then going into this season, we really didn't see a whole lot of action there, even though we did have a shooter buck on that camera a couple times. But, you know, it's just, it's so up and down out here, I feel like, in Texas. And the funny thing is, like, the culture, man, we've probably talked about this a few times, and we probably will talk about it more, but the culture for people outside of Texas is like game-rich environment. You know, it's like, that's where I'm going to shoot things. You know, there's hogs and deer everywhere. And most of the places that we hunt, not just because they're public, but because they're in the eastern half of the state, are not like what people are seeing on TV shows. You see the bone collector crew come down here and smoke a bunch of deer, or the Heartland bow hunter crew come down here and smoke a bunch of deer. They are typically west or south of the DFW Metroplex, you know?
Sure. Well, dude, think about this. You can fit 4 Iowas in the state of Texas. You know what I mean? When people talk about and I'm not saying that it's justified or anything, but like, I think we should just stop talking about things as states in general, because like there's parts of Iowa that are really bad, I'm sure, for deer hunting. Well, maybe not bad as it is here, but you know what I mean? But like, take for instance, take a state like Nebraska. All right. I think there's parts of Nebraska that aren't even inhabited by whitetails. And then there's parts of Nebraska that are really, really good.
Yeah. And then you've got like sandhills on one side, and then on the other side, you've got is it the Missouri River that goes down the side there? Major river system. Mississippi River. Okay. So, and then you've got, I think that's like a lot of farm country and like, you know, just ag stuff all over and river bottom stuff. And then like obviously turns into like almost desert, you know, on the west side of the state. And so
you take that, you know, that varied habitat of states like that, multiply it times 4, and that's what you got in Texas. And I'm not justifying what we have, but you can't just use the phrase like, oh, in Texas. Yeah. And just like you can't use the phrase, oh, in Kansas, or oh, in Iowa, or oh, in Minnesota. That's a good one. You know, our buddy Alex Comstock, you know, like southern Minnesota, it's ag country. You go up north and like there is nothing but like pine,
big woods.
You know, big conifers, mature forest.
Yeah.
You know, it's just using states to define, you know, deer quality is not how it works.
Yeah,
you know, it's
it needs
all
to be more
like
of like
ecoregions.
Yes, exactly, like an ecoregion. So, yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I mean, and it frustrates us. Obviously, we're talking about it. It frustrates us because everybody we talk to is, you know, we talk to somebody about, you know, calling deer or something like that, and they may be like, yeah, it's nothing like it is down there in Texas. And we're like, well, actually, if you knew where we hunted, you would, and you came out there with us, you would be shocked at how frustratingly difficult it can be sometimes, you know.
Sure.
I mean, we talked to John the other day about rattling, and I mean, honestly, where he's hunting, we can get to Iowa in the same amount of time.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's the same amount of time. It's crazy to think that.
It's a different world away. It's not the same country. It's not, the deer are different. They're more dense, you know, and like, okay, well, we spooked $3 in that calling set, but we called in 7, you know, because they didn't come in downwind, and we don't have $10 on most of the properties we hunt. You know?
Oh yeah. Well, you think about like the other day whenever we rattled in that buck, like it was a big deal to me.
Yeah.
Like, well, dude, we rattled in a deer, you know, like, and I've done it in South Texas. Like I've been there when you rattle in 12 deer in a day, but like to do it here on public land, it's like, oh my gosh, did that really just happen?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
cool.
It's just it's a different thing altogether, but I don't know. We're going way down a wormhole.
Oh,
here.
yeah, for sure. I'm just kind of, I guess my whole point, we are going down some rabbit trails here, but my whole point is that, man, I have struggled mentally lately to believe, you know, have that confidence. Remember we had Constructing Confidence, one of our episodes, probably towards the end of or beginning of the year. You know, it's just been, I'm not constructing confidence very well right now. I'm struggling with as many times as we've been out and as few deer as we've seen, as few opportunities as we've had to, you know, even draw back the bow on a doe, you know, which we've tried, we've wanted to do. You know, it's just been hard for me to believe that, like, am I hunting these deer wrong? Am I doing something wrong? And I know there are people out there listening to this stuff thinking the same thing. There has to be, you know, I mean, we're looking for information to help us here. So like going into these last couple weeks, I need Mr. Positivity to give me some reasons why, like, help me out here, man. I mean,
all right, dude. Are you calling for a pump sesh? Because I can give you a pump sesh.
I'm calling for a pump sesh, dude. Like,
all right.
One of my favorite things in the world to do is have a pump
Here
sesh.
it is, Tyler. Here it is.
Okay.
All right. The best thing, well, we're going to save the best for last. Okay.
Okay.
But, I mean, of course, right? That's a cliche and right thing to do.
You always eat the crust off the Pop-Tart first.
That's right. Okay. So, one thing we got going for us, all right, is that we have, like, this is the longest deer season we've had in, like, forever. Okay. Last year, the season ended on, like, the 1st or the 31st. I can't remember. This year, it ends on the 7th. And then we've got muzzleloader after that we might try to explore some options in too. But, like, we still get, like, another week on the end of things this year. And think about what we found out in that last week last year. I'm pretty sure you found teenager that week, if I'm not mistaken, or it was very close to that.
Well, I put the camera out in January. I can't remember exactly when, but yes, it was very close to that last week
very close to that last week, right?
Yeah, so I mean, when he would have been getting picked up. I think it was like middle January or latter end of January, week 3 or something, when I checked the actual camera.
And think about it this way: if that had been seasoned, instead of going in there and hanging a camera because you thought it looked good, you might have would have went in there and hunted because it looked good. Right.
Yeah.
So there's something they got going for you there. We got an extra week, and you know what's cool about that week and the days leading up to it?
Could be cold.
That week, it's going to be, our temperatures are predicted to be like the best they've been all year.
All right.
And I know that, like, the rut is mid-November. Like, I get it. Down here in Texas, it's different. When it's cold, the bucks are on their feet. That's just how it works. They're going to be out looking because you've got those cycling in all the time. It's a constant thing, right? Mm-hmm. And, like, starting Christmas Day and the days thereafter, like the next week, and, who knows what 14 days from now what it's going to be like. But we're going to have some cool days, and we need to be in the stand as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean,
because
a Christmas present in the form of a big buck wouldn't be a bad idea,
Ooh, I know it, dude. My goodness. I just want one of us to kill one this year in Texas. That's it.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way. It don't matter if it's me. I mean, I've already, frankly, like I've killed 2 deer this year. I've had a great year. And I'm probably being a little baby by complaining, but I'm just like, you want to if you put in a lot of work to something, like, you want that to pay off. You have a lot of passion, like, instilled into that, and you just want it to pay off. And, shooting a doe, on a stand that I set 3 different times, I mean, I definitely, put in some hours with mosquitoes biting the crap out of me, but, like, when you have hunted this long on this property, and technically I didn't take a bow out there last year. And so I hunted, several days out there with you last year. And
I had to prove to you that it was worth hunting public land in Texas.
and show me the ropes and stuff, man. I learned a lot. And then, all the postseason scouting and stuff, the miles and miles. I mean, we would go out and put 6, 7, 8 miles in, one day, just, basically like a half day, walking out there, finding stuff. We're looking for pigs. We didn't hardly shoot any pigs last year, because we were moving so much, but, just like all that time. And then now, you get to the season, you get all amped up, and then, you hunt however many sits we've sat this year and have a lot of trouble getting on them. It starts to get to the point where you're like, you're doubting yourself a little bit. So, you make some good points. Like, and I definitely, we talked about this in the beginning, the light and variable winds. That's coming because it's usually hot, muggy, still, and we're going to get some cold and some north winds here pretty soon. That, I mean, and we have seen on our trail cameras, they've lit up like on cold front roll-in days.
That's right, man.
Even in
cold.
Early November, if we'd have been sitting, there was a day we went to Kansas. We had leader moving through like our shooting lane on camera that
all
day.
In a doe.
Yeah, right.
That's great
During the day. So I mean, it definitely shows. I've had like 3 shows this year, and and they've like it seems like every one of them has been on one of the best days that we've had weather wise this year. I mean, I know 2 of them have, and
and then the other time we were in Kansas, which I'm not complaining.
Yes,
but
and so one of them was like the 18th or 16th or something like that, and dude, it was a northeast wind, which is what I need to kill teenager, and
is that when he was there?
Yes, he was on camera that afternoon in there. The front rolled in the middle of the day, and he was there that afternoon. And
That's the other thing. All the fronts we've had, they all come in at night.
Yes.
We don't have those like midday temperature changes when it's like, oh, let's go.
Dude, we've had like 1 or 2 come in, like cool fronts come in there the day, and every other. It doesn't matter if it's a light cold front, a hard one. Like it has come in the night, and so another thing is you're doing a ton of morning hanging hunts, and those are tough.
I need some sleep.
Exactly. So that can kind of work on you for sure. But I don't know. It seemed like a lot of things that haven't gone our way, and maybe it's all building up to pay off to at the end of the season and make for an incredible story and incredible just. Passionate, emotional, outpouring whenever it happens, and that's that's cool right there if that's the way it goes, and if it doesn't, maybe we learned a lot and we slam them next year. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, man, the best for last that I was saving a while ago.
Yeah,
here it is. You ready?
I'm ready.
Either way, whether I let loose an arrow this year or not, this has still been my best hunting season yet. I believe. I 100% believe that, man. And because you and I have been out in the woods so much, like our friendship has grown. We've seen so much, learned so much about hunting, and been in the woods a ton. And compound that with you having success, on our out-of-state trip, and Brennan getting to shoot a bull elk in Colorado, and us having so many crazy encounters and how good that went. And just all the preseason and postseason from last year and taking a trip to Iowa and going scouting, like, dude, this is the best season yet. Yeah. And whether we kill something or not, I learned a ton and I still love it, man. I still
me
eat
too.
It up.
I do too, man, for sure. Like I can't tell you guys how many times we've sat in the stand just like, man, how cool would it be to do this every day? Is there a way that we could do this every single day? And we almost have, to our wives' dismay. But I mean, like I really, really would love to do that. I just think it's too cool. I love being out there. I love learning about deer and seeing what they're doing. And the thing is, like and this is, I guess, another thing that's kind of a pick-me-up, or could be, but you can learn a lot about deer, and they're still going to surprise you. I feel like, you got guys out there that are, typically trying to sell something that will tell you how much they know about deer and they'll talk in absolutes. And I just know that they know a lot, and I know they stay on deer regular, but I just know they get surprised too, and they probably don't say anything about it because they don't want to ruin their reputation, which is fine. I mean, if you're making money off and making a living off of it, I understand. But anyway, I just think that as much as I ever will learn about them, they're always going to surprise me. And
I'll tell you what, dude, I don't want to ever have them completely figured out.
No, me neither.
I never want to get there, man. And I want it to be like, okay, I'm going to go off the deep end a little bit. Like, we as Christians, we strive to be sinless, but we'll never get there because we're not Christ, right?
Right.
And it's the same thing with deer. Like, I want to learn everything I can and try to figure them out, but I'll never really get there.
Yeah.
I hope I don't.
I don't think you will. I mean, they're a wild animal. It's one of the wiliest creatures in the whole world. They don't do things that make sense. I mean, you've got gigantic old deer that, show up doing something stupid, or whatever. They get hit by cars, and even though they know to stay away from that highway, I mean. Yeah.
Well, there's a reason that there's a 200-pound megafauna running around out there and like coexisting with humans. You know what I mean? Like they're smart. They know how to live. They know how to adapt. And I don't care if it's the latest and greatest camo, ozone technology, whatever you have that you think is like getting one up on a deer, one of these days they're going to figure out that, like, hey, that smell of ozone, that means something or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like they haven't done it yet, but like, they're smart. They're going to figure things out. That's why they look in the trees. You know, like deer don't naturally look up.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But they figured out that we're up there.
Yeah. And that's a bit of inspiration to know that. And I love it too, man. I mean, for sure. And I think, you know, the hardest part for me is just the struggles that we've had this year. But, you know, I just need to make sure and focus down, I guess, as we get out. You know, one thing that's been tough is like in this moment and having some like warm days lately, I'm like starting to get this fishing fever, you know, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
hold on a second. Hold on
I know
a
it. I listened to a fishing podcast the other day. I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah. We're still trying to kill a deer, you know? So, anyway, I don't take it too serious to the point where like, I'm going to burn myself out because we don't kill something. I mean, I'm not relying on that to like make me something in somebody else's eyes or anything, but I do want to see my work, pay off in one way or another. And I know it may not do it every year, but, hopefully we can get out there, stay focused the rest of the year. I think it's a lot easier to stay focused when it's cool outside too, you know, so that'll help. And I mean, honestly, like you were saying, you know, we've had a lot of good laughs in the tree, you know, and, honestly, we've gained a ton of new followers and listeners and friends this fall. So, you know, if that one of those is you, thank you for just checking in on us and being a friend or a follower, whatever it might be. I can't tell you from the bottom of my heart, and I know KC's too, man, just thank you guys for keeping tabs on us. And I hope you guys are enjoying what we're putting out there for you guys. We just try to be honest and hopefully you guys can kind of see that and, maybe that's what you guys are enjoying. So, I don't know. I would say that if somebody was to email or message me a bit of inspiration to get through these next couple of weeks, I wouldn't hate it at all, man. I mean, I do. We actually got a piece of inspiration in an email recently from a friend, and that was cool.
We did, man. James from Washington, he was very complimentary. Thanks for your message, James.
Yeah.
And then the reviews we've been getting lately on the podcast really make us feel good. You know, lets us know we're on the right track with things.
Yep.
You know, sometimes when you feel like you're on the wrong track with deer, at least you feel like you're on the right track with talking about nonsense. But no, really, like, thanks a ton, guys.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for following along with our season. And, I hope you've learned something, because I know we have. Man, I just, I don't know. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun doing this, and I can't wait to wrap up the season strong.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you know, speaking of those kind reviews, just a quick little plug. The shirt giveaway for the Element shirt is still going on. So
that's right.
When you
Christmas
hear this,
Eve.
When you hear this, we'll be Christmas Eve is when we announce it. So as soon as you hear this, go give us a review and maybe you have a chance of winning that. And thank you for doing that. If so.
That's right.
So, anything else? Any concluding thoughts?
Not really. Just I hope that everyone who hears this has just the best Christmas ever. I hope you get to see all your family, all your friends, and give them all big hugs and just get real fat one day and then get out on some public land somewhere and walk it all off.
Burn it all off. Yeah,
that's right. And you know, it's Christmas for a reason, and you and I are both Christians, and we believe that the reason we celebrate this time of year is because a Savior came, was born on earth, and then died for our sins. And that's why it is Christmas. So everybody have a Merry Christmas. Enjoy your family and friends, and I hope you get all the cool new hunting gadgets that you wanted.
Yeah. And just to add on to that, man, you know, we don't want to get too preachy or anything, but if you, if you don't know much about what we're talking about when it comes to Christmas and Christianity and stuff like that, and you're inquisitive, you don't know Jesus, feel free to reach out to us, man. Send us an email, send us a message. You can send an email through our website, or you can send a message on Facebook. And, you know, I don't know if this thing ever takes off, we may not be able to answer everybody's questions, or whatever. But as of right now, yeah, we should be able to get to all your questions at some point pretty soon. So like, if you got something, man, you want to talk about that stuff, I know for a fact Casey and I would love to chat with you about that sometime. So anyway, so I've pretty much, Casey said it all. Merry Christmas to you guys. And God bless you as you go through the holidays. Be safe traveling around. And if you're in the same boat as us, finish strong. And maybe send me some inspiration to finish strong as well. So I think we'll see you guys maybe one more time before the new year. If not, Happy New Year. And remember, this is your element.
Living it.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.